UK government spending has come under the spotlight. It's emerged that Westminster seems more willing to spend money on bombing rather than rebuilding. Now, it's been revealed the UK spent £320 million on its military campaign in Libya, while it allocated £25 million on rebuilding the war-torn country. That is 13 times less. Well, one MP from the Scottish National Party referred to the yawning gap as eye-watering. 4 years ago, though, Prime Minister Cameron was praising the UK's bombing efforts in Libya.
You threw off a dictator and chose freedom. And while we are proud of the role that we played to help, we know this was your revolution.
Well, years after the uprising and the reality of the revolution is setting in for Libya, the country is now gripped by violence and unrest, with conflicts raging between rival militia groups. Well, today Libya is deeply divided, as we're about to show you, with armed gangs settling their differences with gunfire. The internationally recognised government controls only half of the country, which you can see there, while the capital has been overridden by the opposing Libya Dawn coalition, and these red dots here are showing cities that are being fought over by Islamic State. Catherine Shackton from the Beirut Centre for Middle East Studies explains to us why she thinks the West isn't interested in rebuilding Libya.
If there is chaos now, it's because the way those wars have been conducted. Until we understand that, the UK and their allies, again, have helped funded, unrest because they wanted to overthrow Colonel Gaddafi at the time. They themselves created the problem that we are facing now, which is radicalism and this fragmentation, of all those militia within Libya, which are leading to the impossibility to build peace. We were sold democracy building. We know now that that wasn't the case at all. So if you look at why those wars were waged, which was essentially to, grab hold and control over natural resources, then your understanding of those wars become, more evident.
Well, amid the turmoil, Libya's prisons are packed with supporters and political figures from the regime of ousted leader Muammar Gaddafi. On Tuesday, a court in Tripoli is set to give its final verdict in the case of 36 former officials accused of war crimes and suppressing protests. The trial has been dismissed by Libya's recognised government in the country's east. It's being held in a militia prison, which is not supervised by any Libyan or official international body. Human rights groups, as well as participating lawyers, have on many occasions referred to it as a show trial. There have also been claims of violations, from defendants denied legal counsel to witnesses not protected and lawyers threatened. Among those on trial is Libya's former head of the intelligence service, Abu Zaid Dorda. His son described what his father is going through.
Since the day of his arrest, my father has been tortured. He's survived one attempt at his life where he was thrown from the second floor of the building. He spent a couple of months in a military hospital, and from there on he was kidnapped by a separate militia and taken to the Hadba prison. The Minister of Justice himself in the internationally recognized government has stated that the judicial system in the country has collapsed, renouncing all responsibility of the current show trial in Tripoli, and declared that any judicial proceedings that are conducted outside the government's authority is illegal. My father is currently on his fourth lawyer. His first lawyer fled the country after she was threatened, and the third lawyer was threatened several times. He was shot at more than once, but he was brave enough to continue on defending my father until when he was given permission to visit my father in prison. He was arrested in the same prison as my father for a day, where he was abused, and then we got a call from my lawyer the next day saying that he can't go on any longer and that he's going to step down.
Well, also on trial is a son of deposed Colonel Gaddafi, Saif al-Islam. One of his lawyers described the proceedings as a mockery of justice.
It's really been a show trial. We know the description really of it than that. Trials are taking place in Tripoli in conditions of complete insecurity, where there are killings every day, and where there's an atmosphere of intimidation hanging over the whole proceedings. So lawyers are intimidated, the judges are intimidated, lawyers have had to leave the case. The prosecution isn't calling any witnesses who can be cross-examined. They're relying on interrogations, which are often tainted by torture, as the UN Rapporteur on Torture has said. And the defence are only allowed 2 witnesses, and there are no protective measures for witnesses. So you can imagine with this atmosphere of insecurity and intimidation, defence witnesses aren't willing to come forward.